In this video, we're diving into 13 weirdly specific childhood traumas caused by growing up in a narcissistic family and how they're still affecting your adult life today. You may find yourself in all or most of these traumas. I'm Jerry Wise, and for over 45 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of people get their narcissistic and dysfunctional family out of them, so they can finally reclaim their true self and find clarity, peace, and lasting freedom. Childhood trauma number 1. You learned delayed emotional responses. In your narcissistic family, expressing emotions in the moment was unsafe. They were often dismissed, punished, or ignored. To survive, you learned to suppress your feelings. This childhood trauma forced you to disconnect from your emotions for self-protection. Now, as an adult, your feelings often hit you hours or even days later, making you feel out of sync with others and confused about how to process your emotional experiences. Childhood trauma number 2. You lived in constant urgency. Growing up with narcissistic parents, your home was unpredictable, with emotional chaos always around the corner. This childhood trauma conditioned you to be on high alert, always waiting for the next crisis. As an adult, you carry that hypervigilance, a constant feeling of rushing and a sense that you can never truly relax. This isn't just being busy. It's a survival mechanism from growing up in an environment that was never safe or calm. Childhood trauma number 3. You carry a low-level, persistent sadness. Your childhood was defined by emotional neglect and a lack of general support, creating a background hum of hopelessness. This childhood trauma resulted in a normalized, underlying sadness that you learn to live with. As an adult, you might not even recognize it as a wound from the past. It just feels like a permanent part of you, kind of leading to feelings of disconnection and a lack of fulfillment. Childhood trauma number 4. You feel guilty about boredom, rest, and relaxation. In your narcissistic family, your needs came last. Rest was seen as laziness, and tiredness was a sign of weakness. This childhood trauma taught you that pausing was unsafe and would lead to criticism. Now, as an adult, you feel guilty or anxious when you try to rest, as if your worth is tied solely to your productivity. This drives you towards chronic exhaustion and burnout. Childhood trauma number 5. You became an expert at hiding your true self. To keep the peace and avoid backlash, you had to wear masks and play roles that pleased your narcissistic parent. This childhood trauma meant you were never allowed to fully express who you were. As an adult, you may feel disconnected from your authentic identity, trapped in the survival roles you created as a child, which prevents deep and genuine connection with others. Childhood trauma number 6. You shut down when in the spotlight. In your narcissistic family, being noticed usually led to criticism, shaming, or punishment. This childhood trauma taught you that attention was dangerous. Your only defense was to shut down or dissociate. As an adult, you may freeze during meetings, presentations, or even on your birthday. Any situations where you are the center of attention triggers that old feeling of being unsafe. When I talk with people about trauma, I'd like to help them move to a more stable emotional location within the family system. We are always connected to the family system, but if we shift our location, and there are ways to do that, and I mean emotional location, it can really make a big difference. What I mean is to help them get unplugged from their family of origin and begin to define and heal themselves. The trauma reaction is much more easily healed if we shift in our emotional detachment and self-location in the family system. Melting the enmeshment glue helps to relieve trauma. For example, when you finally give up needing or wanting to change your family of origin and you just give up, this shifts your emotional location in the family and to the family, which helps your emotional focus and mental focus towards a self focus, making trauma more easy to deal with, to recover, and to heal. Just think, staying emotionally unhealthily connected to your family super self while trying to heal your trauma. It's very difficult to do that. Childhood trauma number 7. You use humor to deflect real pain. Growing up in a narcissistic family, you learn to laugh off painful situations to avoid overwhelming emotional reactions from your family. This childhood trauma made humor a shield to hide your true hurt. As an adult, you may downplay your pain with jokes, making it difficult for you and others to take your struggles seriously. This defense mechanism blocks you from being emotionally vulnerable and processing your feelings. Childhood trauma number 8. Your ability to cry feels broken. Growing up in a narcissistic family, your emotions were suppressed or shamed. Crying wasn't an option, or when you did cry, it was dismissed, invalidated, or it was even punished. This childhood trauma created a dysfunctional relationship with vulnerability. As an adult, you find you either can't cry at all when you need to release emotion, or once you start, you can't stop because a floodgate of pent-up sadness opens. Childhood trauma number 9. You feel transparent and exposed. Growing up in a narcissistic family means living under constant scrutiny and evaluation with no sense of privacy. This childhood trauma created a deep-seated fear that your flaws and vulnerabilities are visible to everyone. As an adult, you often feel like you are being watched and judged, a lingering effect of growing up in a home where you were never allowed to just be. Childhood trauma number 10. You have a reservoir of unprocessed grief and anger. Growing up, your grief, rage, and other painful emotions were not allowed to be expressed or validated in your family. This childhood trauma forced you to bury your grief and rage. As an adult, these unprocessed emotions leak out indirectly, causing you to have intense, disproportionate reactions to small triggers that connect to these old, unresolved wounds. Childhood trauma number 11. You feel disconnected from your true self. Growing up in a narcissistic family, you were assigned a role: the hero, the scapegoat, the caretaker, the lost child, the mascot. That served your parents' needs, but not your own. This childhood trauma robbed you of the chance to discover who you really are. As an adult, you may feel lost, empty, or unsure of your identity because your authentic self was never seen, nurtured, or developed. In my own experience, I remember hearing someone asking that question, "Who are you really? Who is the real Jerry?" I have no idea. What are you even talking about? I am what I am, I guess. That was how lost and unaware I was of who Jerry is. And it just didn't even sometimes make sense when someone would say, "Well, who's the real Jerry?" I don't even know. Childhood trauma number 12. You believe you must be perfect to survive. Growing up with narcissistic parents, you were taught that love and approval were conditional and based on a flawless performance. Mistakes were met with harsh criticism or withdrawal of affection. This childhood trauma wired you to believe your worth is tied to perfection. As an adult, you are driven by fear of failure, leading to anxiety, burnout, and the constant feeling that you are never good enough. Childhood trauma number 13. You are hardwired for overgiving and people-pleasing. In narcissistic families, you were parentified, taught that your role was to manage your parents' emotions and neglect your own needs. This childhood trauma made people-pleasing a necessary survival strategy. As an adult, you struggle with boundaries, feel responsible for others' feelings, and become drained from constantly giving while you're being unable to receive or care for yourself. These 13 weirdly specific childhood traumas are the result of surviving in a narcissistic family system. Self-differentiation is the key to breaking free from these cycles, reclaiming your authentic self, and finding emotional peace. If you are ready to finally break free and start living with clarity, peace, a grounded connection to your true self, then join the Road to Self program. Many who've joined say it was the missing piece in their healing journey, the step that finally helped them get their family out of them and stand strong as their true self. If you're not sure if the Road to Self program is for you at this time, start with my free 84-minute self-differentiation training. Over 30,000 people have joined the free training as their first step. Click the links in the description below and get started. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll never miss a new video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and be wise.